Robert Livingston, Bengals safety coach, joins us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. You're going to love this guy. He is all football. He broke in to the organization in the personnel department as well, handling, getting assignments to evaluate future draft picks, NFL veteran players, understanding football from the big telescope, or I should say, the big panoramic view. Now he's got a telescope and he's zooming in on the safeties, but he sees the big picture defensively, sees the big picture offensively, sees the big picture of football. Robert Livingston, a bright young football mind, and he's got a lot to share. Thanks for joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. From our outstanding First Star Logistics studio, we have an outstanding guest to join us in studio. Robert Livingston coaches safeties for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'll tell you, Coach, looking at practice here, you know, the ramp up time and first day in pads, you guys are fast, man. This defense can run. It's got some functional football speed, not just straight line. You know, 40s are important, but not just straight line speed. I mean functional football speed. You guys can close some ground.
Yeah, we're super blessed that way. You know, the scouting department has done a great job, obviously, in the draft as well as in free agency, and, you know, giving us the players that can do what we want to do. I think the culture is really, really good. It obviously starts at the top with Zach and Lou preaching how they want to practice, how we're going to run to the ball. And it just goes to the players. I mean, you watch Sam Hubbard any given day. He's phenomenal. I mean, he's the best. He's a consummate pro. Von Bell, Cheeto, all those guys really lay the groundwork for who we want to be and how we want to practice. So super fortunate to have those guys. Obviously super fortunate to work for Zach and Lou, where everything is, you know, very black and white. There's no gray on, you know, how we're going to do things. And it's an exciting time, like it is everywhere. You know, as you remember training camp, you're either going to win the Super Bowl or you're going to lose every game. You know, every day seems like the end of the world. Right. So, you know, kind of take it all in stride, and the guys are in good spirits, and it's just an exciting time.
Brandon Allen, when I asked him about the team speed, he told the story about, you know, one snap at practice. He was going to lollipop a throw in there, and he saw Dax Hill going about 80,000 miles an hour. And he said, I had to change the trajectory, the location. I had to change a lot of things because I see this kid motor, and I'm like, man, talk about recoverability speed. And how big is recoverability speed in the NFL? It's huge, isn't it?
Oh, it's a huge part of it. You know, obviously that's spoken like a true quarterback. We don't want to cut people loose. We don't want to have the ability to just lollipop throws. But yeah, you got to have the ability to stop, start, change direction, and close on the ball carrier. And you know, the beautiful thing about these first couple of days are, you know, in no pads, you can really harp on. I'm sure as Coach McNally, who I saw in the building today, did with you your whole time playing. You know, eyes, stance, alignment, assignment. So once it does go, you know, semi-live, whatever you want to call padded practices, where we're thudding people up, you can just play fast and you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. So first 4 days were really great for that, to kind of figure out, you know, who we want to be, what you have on each play call. And then once the pads come on, it's what you've done your whole life. So let's run to the ball and let's have some fun.
Yeah, boy, you brought me back a little bit when you started with alignment assignment. I mean, I remember Tiger Johnson saying, son, listen to me. I want you to be a AAA football player. You know what AAA is, you know, with the cars, right? And I'm like, yes, sir. I want you to be a AAA football player. Alignment, assignment, adjustment. You hear me, son? Alignment, know where to line up. Assignment, know what you're supposed to do. And adjustment. If they do something, we got to change it. You got to know what to do there, too. You got it, son? I said, yes, sir. I'll be a AAA football player. I mean,
yeah, I think I might steal that. So thank you for that.
Good.
But it's all the same thing. I mean, it's, you know, it's so easy at whatever time, 3:33 here on a Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is. It's training camp. To say, okay, hey, this is what you have, and the next thing you know, it's going fast. Maybe they're on the ball. So the more we can talk, I mean, that's the key thing. Obviously, you know, especially in the defensive backfield, you got to be able to communicate. You know, you got to talk to the guys outside you. You got to make sure everybody's on the same page every play, or that's where those guys kind of pop up out of nowhere for touchdowns, and you start looking around, who's got that guy?
Right. So Dax Hill, Tyson Anderson, Cam Taylor-Britt, the three young guys that can all run, like we talked about. The physical part of it is big. Obviously, you have to be able to compete, physically. But the mental part of it, like you're talking about, doesn't do you any good if you're not where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, no matter how damn fast you are or whatever.
For sure.
How are they in terms of understanding and then retaining? Are they at a pretty good level there in terms of your installation?
Yeah, I'm pleased. Again, being a rookie or people listening, obviously your first day on a new job, there are some things that you probably just nod your head and act like you got it, and then afterwards it's like, hey, what was he saying there? What are we doing?
Right.
Again, it all goes back to training camp is designed to stress you physically and to stress you mentally. So when you do have the ability to have a walkthrough day or in meetings, put yourself in tough positions where, you're not only competing on the grass, but you're competing in the meeting room. And all three of those guys are super eager. They're eager to please. They want to play. They want to do right, and they want to be successful. So as long as they have that mindset and are willing to work, then we'll be in a good spot.
Now, there's no such thing as a stupid question, but anybody can ask a question. The key is, are they asking good questions? I mean, you as a coach, I'm sure can tell, hey, man, this guy's starting to get it because that's a damn good question. Are they at that stage with you?
Definitely, we're getting there. I think Zach did a great job bringing these rookies in early, before camp. So there was 2 days of on the grass with just rookies and meetings, and it's like anything in any group setting. It's hard to raise your hand and maybe come across as somebody who doesn't know what he's talking about. So in an intimate group setting, small numbers, it's always easier. So that's been phenomenal for those guys to really kind of get ahead and anything that might come up. Hopefully, we've crossed that bridge. That's not to say that there's not mistakes. That's not to say that there's not things that are busted. You never want to have it, but we just got such more in reserve, right? You kind of already got that stuff built up. So again, excited with where these guys are. They're still rookies. They're going to make mistakes. It's our job as coaches, obviously, to clean them up and get them playing to their ability.
I think you mentioned something earlier where a veteran player who ends up taking on a mentor role is so huge. My first offensive line coach, I couldn't ask for anything better. Bill Tiger Johnson was awesome. But I had a guy who we both know, Bob Johnson, was a veteran center, smart as a whip, knew everything about the NFL, what there was to know on an in-depth basis. And he said, he ended up, I'm taking you under my wing basically without saying it. He was the mentor. And like Von Bell, I see him doing that with the young safeties. I see Cheeto doing that with the young corners. That supplements, you're a hell of a coach. Those guys, those veteran guys that are mentoring supplement and help develop those players, doesn't it?
Oh, it's phenomenal. Again, it goes back to the culture that Zach and Lou have built defensively. You got guys that care more about the people around them than they do their own personal accolades. It's kind of that tribe mentality where there's no job too big, no job too small. I can't thank those guys enough. I mean, Vaughn, Mike Thomas, those guys have lived it, right? And I don't mean to speak down on my profession. Obviously, it's what I do for a living. But it's going to mean something, maybe even a little bit more, if I'm honest with myself, which is hard to do. If somebody that's beside you that's playing the position, hey, I look at this or I look at that. I see this. Hey, make sure we're doing this. And it's good to have guys, pull in the same direction. Again, it goes back to kind of what Zach preaches, team first mentality, we, not me, all that good stuff, which I know some people might say is, it's great on a t-shirt, but when does it matter? Well, it matters in August. It matters in September. It matters, every game of the year. So the more we can have those guys helping out the young players, the better. Again, that, as that is not common. There's a lot of guys that are kind of trying to protect themselves. I think, as we all know, this is a success-driven business, and they want to make plays so they can stick around. But we got a great group of guys that are eager to help out and put the team first. So that's all we can ask for.
That brings me to a guy that, obviously isn't part of training camp at this point, and a guy that intimately well, better than anybody. Jessie Bates is that kind of guy you're talking about, a great teammate, and the business side of football is tough. There's no question, and you can only coach, guys that are available to you. And right now, Jessie's situation, he's not available. I know you probably can't communicate at all or anything like that. I know you can't communicate any football to Jessie, but as far as you know, teammates that have reached out to him and everything, is everything going okay with Jessie?
Yeah, I think so. There's obviously a personal side to this. I love Jess like a brother. Being around him, more than I've been around my three kids, probably for the last 4 years. I care about him, immensely. That'll never stop. So, if and when, he shows up, and I'm excited for whenever that day is, you give him a big hug and we'll go to work. So, the personal side is really the side that I want to make sure is good. And again, if and when he shows up, we'll be in a good spot. Obviously, everybody loves Jess, and again, keep the business side out of it, and let's go out, let's make a lot of plays, let's play great defense, and rising tide obviously rises all boats.
So the adjustments and everything that are being made, the tweaks and the fine tuning, Jessie obviously is very intelligent and a quick study. No concerns that he wouldn't be able to very quickly adapt to what your changes that you may have made back there. And we all know he's a pro's pro. The guy will keep himself in great shape. When the day he reports, he'll be ready to go, ready to play. You feel pretty confident about all that?
Yeah, just because, again, the person that he is, as you already mentioned,
Right.
Consummate pro, always on top of things. He, Vaughn, Mike Thomas, all those guys could run the meetings that we're doing right now. We're still pretty early in the install period. Obviously not game planning versus an offense yet. And everything is pretty much, as you would call it, training camp rules. So just kind of as you read it from a sheet of paper. The beauty of our situation is, this is our fourth year together, which is great to say out loud. I think it's the first time I really realized that. So, it's phenomenal. There have been tweaks and changes along the way defensively. But everything is eerily similar. Lou said something, really, I guess the first install day, maybe the second we were doing the red zone, he's showing plays, and it's the same thing we're installing, the first red zone training camp day, and we were running them in the Super Bowl. So that's the beauty of Lou's system. Again, I can't speak enough about the great job he does, getting these guys ready to play and keeping things simple so they can just play fast. And, what you see is what you get. So if and when Jessie shows up, super excited for that, and we'll get him up to speed.
You make mention of a fact we talked about before, the fourth straight year for Zach, both his coordinators, all three of his coordinators, I should say. Darren Simmons, obviously, special teams coordinator and assistant head coach. There's not a whole lot of teams in the NFL that can say the head coach and the three areas of the football team, offense, defense, special teams, who coordinate those, are all returning for fourth straight year. If that continuity and consistency, and a lot of assistants as well, are in that group. How big is that to the success of the football team?
It's huge. It's huge. Again, it's a blessing. Selfishly, obviously, it's a blessing for me to be here and not have to move my family and kind of get in that rat race. It's a blessing for all the coaches because you're used to the system. You're not learning a new system every year. And then if you're a player, again, as you have lived, you're walking into really an eerily similar install. And we were fortunate to play as many games as we played last year. So God knows we played a lot of defense, a lot of different packages and all that stuff. So there's buckets to it. Hey, this is just like this, or that is just like that. And again, it's a testament to Lou in that the way this thing is wired, it might be different words, but it's the same technique for a guy, or it's the same, eye discipline for a guy, or it's the same, hey, I'm reading 2-to-1 here. And if you can do that, it's pretty easy to learn. That's our job as assistants, obviously, to learn the learners, to learn how these guys learn best, whether it's in the classroom, on the field, PowerPoint, whatever it may be. And that's really what training camp is trying to convey what in the morning when these guys walk in, what they've watched at night on their iPads, might seem like a lot of information, to put it into small buckets, and the same as ones live in one drawer and the other ones live in the other. And if you can just do that and kind of compartmentalize things, to me, that's the best way to teach, and that's the best way to learn. So that's kind of what we're doing. Huge emphasis on technique early on, as we mentioned, in terms of just being in shorts. It's probably a blessing. It's a godsend, however you want to look at it, to really, really, really detail what you're doing each time in each coverage, what your job is, what does this technique mean, what does that technique mean. That way, again, whenever it comes up, if it's the first preseason game, or hopefully we're playing late in the year, It's the same call, it's the same coverage, it's the same eye discipline, and you've done it a million times. You know, the teaching part of it, it's a little bit the whole system. Again, you learn the whole huddle call, what your individual part is, and then you go back and for a lot of these guys, even the rookies, this is their third time hearing it. So now when they see the whole part again, they know how it all works together. So that's the exciting part. Again, as you sat in as a rookie, maybe not as nice in meeting rooms with the video. And again, shout out our video guys. They do great. Travis and Kent and Brooks are phenomenal.
They are.
We've got a whole bunch of tools we can use to, again, learn the learners and get these points across. The first time you install something, there's some big eyes from these rookies, in the spring. Now all of a sudden it's the third time they've heard it and they can recite it. So it's one thing to recite it. It's another thing to do it. And that's kind of what training camp's for.
You referenced, the character and culture, of the entire organization. Really, there's no jerks. I mean, there's zero jerk factor. And I think in a case like we were talking about with Jessie, I think that's a big factor because it's not contentious. I mean, it's business, and there are no divas. Everybody's checked egos, and I think all of that is a big factor, is a huge factor, because at some point in time, a team is going to face adversity multiple times during the course of a season, face adversity. But a group like this that has the type of makeup that it has, it's easier to overcome it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of my, kind of pet peeves is everybody talks about culture. That's like the new, catchy word, right? We got great culture, whether whoever you are, whatever business, whatever franchise, whatever team you're working for. Oh, we got great culture. And they always point to the winning moments, when the culture was great, when everybody's happy and excited. And to me, it's kind of backwards, right? I think you learn a lot about culture is when people struggle, right? When the team struggles, when an individual struggles, that really kind of shows you who you are and what you're about. And that goes back to just the conversation we had with training camp. As you've lived, as the listeners have lived, it's not always great. Again, offense is going to win one day, defense is going to win another, and it's how you bounce back. It's what you do after a tough stint, and that carries over into the season. You have a bad series, you have a bad drive, you have a bad game. How are you going to come back? How are you going to react to adversity? So that's what we're trying to build. Again, the beauty of the NFL is that there's 31 other teams saying the same thing today. Kind of spring hopes eternal. Everybody's going to go to the Super Bowl. Just ask them. So it's our job to keep pushing and keep grinding and just brick by brick get to where we want to go. And that obviously starts with tomorrow, having the best Thursday we can have, and then Friday, and just, be where your feet are at and don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, it's a great message. And you don't have to go back very far. Just last year, 7-4. And there were two West Coast teams coming to Paul Brown Stadium, have to travel from the West Coast, have to go through multiple time changes and all that, all that stuff. Do you travel 2 days before, the day before? Oh man, that's tough traveling from West Coast to East Coast. Well, the Chargers win big, and then the 49ers win in overtime at Paul Brown Stadium. And the team is now 7-6 in the middle of December. And a lesser team that didn't have the makeup of what you're describing, being able to handle the adversity, folded their tents. This team goes on a run, and defensively in the playoffs, you hold your first two opponents to under 20 points, you get 10 quarterback sacks, 7 different guys combined for 8 interceptions in 4 games. I mean, it's like you guys are playing about as good as any defense can play. Were you guys at your peak at that time, or can you get better?
No, we're always striving to be better. Obviously, I get it. That's a little bit coach speak, as is what I'm getting ready to say is that was last year. This is this year, right? That's the ultimate coach speak. But again, just talking on culture, that was the shining moment for me. Again, losing to San Francisco in overtime. Obviously, some things didn't go our way, and we didn't make the plays we needed to make. And that was really the first time all year where, in your head, you're thinking, okay, hey, you're going to have to get these guys back. They're going to be down. They're going to feel just as shitty as you do. And you walk into the meeting room on Monday morning, and everybody's the same person that they were. Again, never too high, never too low. Their hand never shakes. And that's what we're chasing this year. Again, it's our job as assistants to push these guys and drive them to be the same person every day. Last year is last year. There's nothing given this year. Had a great speech today. from a visiting speaker that said, just because you went there last year, nothing is guaranteed today. And we're a testament to that. Again, if you look at, the years prior, obviously we're not what they needed to be. They were not good enough. And the guys used that, had a chip on their shoulder, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. So that's the exciting time about training camp. Everything is always rainbows and blue skies. So we got to keep these guys working and kind of focus on what the business at hand is.
And I'll tell you, all you have to do is go back in team history to the 3 Super Bowl teams. Played on the team that played in Super Bowl 16. We lose to the 49ers, but we had a great run, AFC champions. Come back the following year, there's work stoppages or strikes. So there's only 9 games. We go 7-2. So, in that 2-year stretch, 12-4, 7-2, we have the best regular season winning percentage in the NFL. But, we got to go into the playoffs, and there's nothing given. We got to play the Jets. We're up 17-14. Freeman McNeil goes for over 200 yards against us, and the Jets edge us 44-17 after we have a 17-14 lead. So we don't even make it out of our first playoff game, after the Super Bowl run. And the team that went to Super Bowl 23 didn't even make the playoffs. Went 8-8. They lost 5 games by a touchdown or less and lose the last game by that type of score. And if they win, they're 9-7. They're in the playoffs, and they can't get that victory, can't get it done, and don't even get in the playoffs to defend their AFC championship. So, like you said, man, put it away, wipe the slate clean. I mean, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time, training camp. To your point, my wife always tells me she's the level-headed one of us. She's the only reason we work, as you probably are aware because you're married,
Yes.
And had the same conversation.
Yes.
Any given Sunday, anybody can beat anybody, right? And that's the beauty of this league. It's a hard league. It's a tough league. There's no homecoming games, right? I mean, everybody can beat everybody. That's the parity that the league wants, and that's why everybody loves the game. So with that being said, just getting ready, it is a grind. Training camp, as you've lived, I mean, eventually you get tired of blocking the same 3 technique every play, and the first preseason game is always super exciting. There's new blood coming. You get to hit somebody else, you get to block somebody else, you get to see different colors. I mean, it's great. So, and for a lot of these young guys, I mean, just the look in their eyes, again, you've lived it. That first preseason game is 9 days away, which is crazy to say out loud. But it's super exciting, and it's a couple obviously hard work days before we get there, and that'll be kind of the present for these young guys. Like, hey, you're grinding through camp, so now you get to hit somebody else for 4 quarters. So it'll be fun.
The way this, not only the personnel that you've accumulated to fit these spots in your defensive roster, but the way it's built. You guys are stout and strong inside at defensive tackle. You have, edge guys that can cause you problems. There's no question about it. You have linebackers that have a lot of range and athleticism, and you have all this speed on the back end. I mean, you can't build a defense, schematically and with the physical theoretical thing, and then fill it with the people you filled it with any better. I mean, it's well put together. It's well done, man.
Yeah, again, that's a testament to Duke and his staff upstairs. Duke, Potts, Steve. Obviously AJ, Christian, they do a great job. Trey Brown has been a great acquisition for us. Coming in and seeing it from maybe a little bit different lens, the places he's been. We work hand in hand with those guys in the draft, and then obviously Zach and the coordinators and Duke and Steve handle free agency, and we're involved where needed. So, really, really talented looking group. You look out there at the first 11 and you feel good about life. So as long as we don't screw it up as coaches, we should be pretty good. So again, great guys. I think you touched on it earlier. At the end of the day, you can be as talented as you want to be. If you're a jerk or if you're undisciplined or if you're whatever, some places that's okay. And to Zach's credit, that doesn't work here. And I think the locker room is strong enough that if you are not a good guy or if you're not about the right stuff, as Zach talks about, you'll be alienated, right? They just don't want to have it, so it's great guys. Can't say enough about them. Really, really enjoy working with them every day, and hopefully we'll be able to work together for a long time.
And you hit on something that's always big. I mean, when players start self-policing, then you know you have something special, in that regard, and weed out the issues. And it's this is universal to me. When my experience is having played on various teams, when your better players have jerk factor, you struggle. The ship
For sure.
sinks. When you're better, when your better players are outstanding people, raises the ship. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And you guys, I mean, you have multiple leaders in every position group, and that's the way you want it. You don't want just an offensive and a defensive captain. You want as many guys that want to contribute to the leadership aspect of your football team and self-police as you can, right?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it kind of goes back to that collective team mindset. We're putting each other first, and it doesn't matter. If I have 15 tackles and 2 picks and the best game of my life, if we lose 44-17, so it all goes back to me of kind of that tribe mentality. No job too big, no job too small. It takes us all, and I think the buy-in has been huge that way. Obviously, it's a testament to Zach and Lou, as I talked about. Really making things black and white. This is who we're going to be. And, Lou said it best. He said the train's leaving. You can either run and jump on it or get left behind. But the train is leaving. So it's like that everywhere. I get it. Everybody's got the same message in training camp. But I feel very fortunate to be part of this train and leaving the station.
You're a big part of it. There's no question about it. And your background is so unique, and being involved in the personnel side of it, you understand the contributions, and you've got a big picture, a really big picture from an organizational standpoint. You're gonna go big places during the course of your career, because you understand all the inner workings, the personnel, and then the coaching side of it. Now that you're into the coaching profession and doing a hell of a job that you're doing, is there a guy or two that you can point to and say, I wanted to be kind of like him, and I feel like I'm getting closer?
That's very nice. Thank you. The biggest thing for me was when I came downstairs and started coaching full time. I had the opportunity to be a QC, so quality control, both on defense and special teams. So I think anybody that's been around Darren Simmons recognizes that he's probably the most prepared person I've ever been around.
Yep.
And I learned very quickly that if I was not on my P's and Q's, and if I didn't have an answer, if I was trying to bullshit them, that wasn't going to fly. So for me as a young coach, to learn the preparation aspect was huge. Obviously Marvin was instrumental in my life and my career. I'm forever indebted to him. To think that I would do half the things that he's done in this league would be a hell of a career. So I think the world of him. And then obviously Paul Gunther was a guy that I'm super grateful that he got my kind of boat in the water. And I learned a lot from Paul. Obviously Paul learned it from Zim, and it's a definite kind of history there. So I'm just lucky at the end of the day. I'm in a great organization. The Brown family here is phenomenal to me and my family. It's a family-run business, obviously. It's in a small market. My wife's from here. So everything for me kind of checks the box of like, hey, this is perfect. Don't screw this up. So that's the added pressure is, hey, dude, you got a good thing. Don't mess it up.
I've had over different levels of football and years of football, coaches like, I don't give a damn if you like me, but you're going to respect me. If you don't respect me, we're going to have problems. So respect's obviously a big deal, and your players respect the hell out of you. But I think it's like 1 + 1 = 3 when a player not only respects his coach but likes him. And I think that's when you have the magic sauce. I think Dick LeBeau was somebody that I first noticed. His players not only respect the hell out of him. He's a great player and a hell of a. They like the dude, man. They'll do anything. They'll go through hell in a gasoline suit for him. You, my friend, you got that mojo. I think you're doing a hell of a job.
That's very nice. I don't know if the audience knows, but Lap is actually my agent as well.
There you go. See,
any requests, please go through him. But no, I mean, to me, it all starts with guys that you play for that you learned it the right way. I was fortunate. I had a defensive coordinator in college, Bob Shoup, who was like the movie, The Beautiful Mind, right? He'd get on the board and he'd start drawing, and next thing you know, there's like 85 different. Everybody got it? Okay, good. So the football side started there, and then, to me, my challenge to myself every day is to just be the same person. If I come in and I get too high or I get too low, that obviously causes consternation in the room. And with that causes panic, with that causes missed assignments, misalignments, all that kind of stuff. And I legitimately care about these guys. It goes back to, we're on a submarine. We're not coming back to port for hopefully a long time. Hopefully the season stretches really, really long. And I'm going to be around these guys every day. I care about them immensely. I love them. I want the best for them. My job as a position coach is to obviously put them in a position to be successful, whatever that takes, however it takes. And I'm just super supportive of them. Obviously, at the end of the day, they're putting, a lot on the line to go out there and help their families, help this organization, help this team win. So the more I can do to show them I care about them, show them I can support them, and then from the coaching side, put them in positions to be successful, then it's all good. So I appreciate the kind words, so that means a lot. Thank you.
Super Bowl 56 was a great experience out in L.A. to get in there and everything along with it, but Super Bowl 57 in Arizona.
There we go. I like it.
Can't thank you enough. Appreciate your time, stud.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Lap. Really appreciate you.
You're the
At
best.
First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right. That's right. Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.